Oh no, okay, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna check the, before we start, just make sure your audio's included.
Yeah, I have that all ticked off there.
Gonna check the app real quick and just post a link.
hmm I know I have two of my guys up who want to watch the stream, so... And the rest of them are just going to watch it in the morning.
Alright, just posted it.
Perfect.
Keep an eye on the stream because I know the chat on the Twitch likes to get a little rowdy.
Okay.
Alright. Thanks for joining us on the stream tonight. You go ahead and introduce yourself with name, rank, and unit.
Okay. So to introduce myself, I'm First Lieutenant Super Duper 51 of the Royal Anglian Regiment. We are a British-based Milsim unit, comprised of line infantry, as well as having both an armour and aviation attachment. We established late November of 2017, and we've been growing ever since.
Yeah, I've seen, I remember seeing you guys pop up the first time. I mean, since then it's been kind of quiet. I haven't really seen much, like, anything going on from you guys. So I wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, I know our Twitter kind of took a little bit of a dip in regards to posting a lot more regularly, where what we used to do at the initial beginning was make sure we took a screenshot of every scoreboard for every skirmish and joint operation that we attended, and just made sure we posted it at the end just to kind of get our name out there as much as possible. And I think as we settled into it a lot more, we didn't focus on it as much. But now that we've kind of formed specific alliances with individuals and groups, it's important to make those posts to acknowledge not just ourselves, but then to acknowledge those people and kind of what the help that they've been in helping our unit grow since the day we started.
Now, you guys had you said you had an armor as well as infantry. Do you have air as well?
Yes, we do have an aviation attachment.
Like, are they all under the same name, or is it like different name as for like
So
armor in there?
with the way British armour and aviation works, you have to claim a whole bunch of squadrons from different kind of units. So for our armour, it's comprised of two different units, which is the Royal Wessex Yeomanry, which is our heavy armour battalion, which runs the Challenger 2 tanks. And then we have the Royal Dragoon Guards Charlie Squadron, which is for our IFVs. Then in regards to aviation, we have to cover a squadron from the Royal Air Force, which covers the fixed wing aspect. And then we have to claim a squadron from the Royal Army Air Corps, which covers our rotary aspect. And then basically, rather than having each individual names for each of them, we just kind of categorize them together as our armor attachment and our aviation detachment.
Alright. If you want, you can tell us a little bit more about your unit.
So, like I said, we established late November there. The original three founding members being myself, Second Lieutenant Orior Dragon, and my other second lieutenant, Valiant Pegasus. Um, I've always wanted the idea to establish my own Milsim. I've been running Milsim for about the past 3 to 4 years. Myself, I actually started out in most American units rather than British units because at the time, American units were really the only thing that was around and was big at the time. And just kind of after going through I think I went through about 3 or 4 units there, and the most I could ever really get up to in the American standards was staff sergeant or master sergeant. So as I said, I was looking for a bit more, but by the end of that time I had to go into my kind of final year of high school, had a big exam year, and I just dropped off the grid from Milsim completely. Then after that year was over, I decided to come back to Milsim, but to try and find something that was more kind of attuned to my time and what was more kind of comfortable for myself, I decided to look into going into British units. And that was where I joined my first British unit, which was 1st Battalion, the Rifles. And it was from there I was in them for just over a 2.5 to 3 month period, from which I rose through the ranks quite quickly. I was very happy at my time in 1R. It definitely showed me a lot of insight into what I wanted to get out of Milsim, and I think it was one of the main factors that helped me come to the decision I wanted to go and start up my own unit. So I separated from 1R, went my own way. I was friends, like I said, with my second lieutenant Orior Dragon and Valiant. They were both ex-members of 1R with me at the time, and they came along with me for the journey to start up our own unit.
Alright, cool. And you guys are already Battlefield 4 most.
That is correct. We've had 1 or 2 people within the unit asking would we consider transferring over to Battlefield 1, but due to the fact that when the actual operating times of Orior was, they didn't really cover much World War I era periods, so we'd have to look for a completely different unit, and we'd rather just focus on the one game at a time as a smaller unit, because we don't have the ability to kind of divert resources to just kind of research a unit, find out what has and hasn't been claimed. And we've just been familiarizing ourselves with the BF4 community as it is, so having to go in and just familiarize ourselves with a completely different community with completely new people would take a lot of time and effort that we could easily just be devoting to our current unit as it is.
Alright. We all know that Battlefield V is scheduled to come out this year and it's going to be taking place in World War II. Are there any plans for RAR to move over to Battlefield V once it drops?
Not currently. We are aware that Battlefield 5 is going to be a World War II kind of theme. We definitely prefer the idea more of a World War II theme one than a World War I. There's a lot more kind of detail into World War II than there is in World War I. It's a lot more in-depth.
More fast-paced, kind of.
Exactly, yeah. There's a lot more kind of things that were added in between the periods of World War I, World War II. Chemical warfare was a lot more advanced. Armor was completely changed. Actual guns as well.
Did they use chemical warfare in World War II?
There was chemical warfare in World War II, as far as I'm aware, for certain things, but it was a lot more strict after World War I. There was a lot more strict limitations put onto it. But there was still those kind of cases where people just tried to get away with it if they could.
Yeah, I know that. I guess some people will argue. Yeah, there was chemicals used in World War II. It's like they'll put on like concentration camps or whatnot. But I mean, I listen to World War II books, but it's mostly just specific theater instead of the European theater, because if you want to learn about the European theater, I mean, you can get like say a good 10, 12 movies about different battles and different situations in the European theater, and just like chronological, and watch them in a chronological order. Which I think I wouldn't say I covered the European theater just by watching movies, but if someone wanted to do that, they could.
Yeah, like there was a lot of things that went unrecognized or unaccounted for during World War II like that. Just were never recorded. Just because so much things went down during World War II that it was hard to kind of record all and every single detail of what happened.
For those who are watching it, or those that are gonna be watching, I just want to say this: I called it. Like right from the beginning, before we even knew. We all like had speculations like it was gonna be Vietnam, Bad Company, World War II, and someone said futuristic.
Well, I think it's because like you have DICE as two split companies. You know, you've one in Sweden, you've one in LA, both working on completely separate projects. So it's kind of more just like a 50-50 which one's going to come out first.
Working on, word is one's working on Battlefield V, and the other one's working on possibly Bad Company 3. So we could see both of them drop in a relative, like I would say one right after the other.
You see, I think looking at the way...
I said this from the beginning, it's like, DICE was gonna do World War II kind of as a slap in the face at Call of Duty, because right now those two are the biggest gang rivals. Yeah.
But I just think looking at the way that DICE kind of operates, like they released Battlefield 1 year, but because they took on Star Wars Battlefront as a project, they have to accommodate releasing that in another year, taking a gap year for Battlefield, so we'd never get 2 consecutive years of Battlefield. You know, DICE has just kind of put too much into it then, and now that like I said, like they're working 50-50 on it as well. Like I said, we're expecting a Vietnam one, we're expecting World War II one, which has now been confirmed, and we're expecting Bad Company 3. So now that we've got World War II confirmed, most likely the year after this is going to be Star Wars Battlefront 3 or another Star Wars variation if they can get away with it. And then after that, it will go again back into Battlefront. Because like, I know the three top ones would be, like I said, like they've confirmed World War II. Then you have either Vietnam or Bad Company 3, but you still have that mad group of people that are convinced that it's going to be
Vietnam.
But you still have that mad group of people that are convinced that it's going to be Hardline 2 that comes out next as well, because that's plenty of something I've heard about saying that's going to be Hardline 2. It's not something I want. I would honestly just give up on Battlefield for that whole year if that was the case. No one wants it, but there's still that group of people that are just convinced it's going to come out as Hardline 2.
I could go into a Battlefield Hardline game right now. I could go to like server browser, look up all servers, and the highest number of people I could probably find is maybe 5.
I think the one thing that upset me the most about Battlefield Hardline is the fact that people tried to Milsim on it.
They actually did that.
They tried. It didn't work very well because it's fucking a police and fucking robbers game. But yet they still tried to
I know someone did, I'm not sure if they are around anymore, but someone did like a FBI Milsim in Battlefield 4, CIA, fucking... I'm not sure if NCIS is on it, but God...
I know there, I think, as far as I'm aware, I think there is still a CIA kind of themed Battlefield 4 going around. But I don't understand how that would work. Like,
I don't either. It's just
CIA.
I can understand, like,
you know,
the CIA has field agents
on foreign soil. Yeah, they have agents.
Oh, no,
they
not
full-on
really
teams.
seats. What the fuck was it? I was looking at. I was reading something. And it had just after the Bin Laden raid. It's like we were learning about like more and more about ST6, and apparently, like a few reports came out. It's like they're in like the Joint Special Operations Command or whatnot. But someone said like they just work with CIA. They don't really, not really part of the military. They're part of the military, but they're under the CIA's little deal, where the hell it is. I would have to look it up, and this is digging for years. You there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Like, I just think it's quite an odd kind of thing or an approach to take to Milsim on Battlefield 4.
I mean, you got PMCs. I mean,
But
kind of
it's
could.
more
Mainly,
understandable to see a PMC though,
yeah.
because they would operate in these kind of scenarios on foreign soil with specific orders to kill, you know? There's nothing surprising there.
Alright, let's go on to the next question. Um, as well, I'm not going to go into that question just yet, but are there any problems you see in the community that could be fixed?
I don't see any problems that have a set solution. Like, we only joined the community very recently. Like, overall, we joined the actual international community on Tuesday, just due to the fact that we're quite a small unit. We're not that long around. I've always been aware of the community. I've had people within the community always discuss things that have happened in there with me. But from what I can see, there's no major issues in the community that have a set and solid solution right now in place. Everything seems more to be quite kind of fluid, where you can fix it for a while, but eventually it's just going to move to something else being the issue from that solution. So unless you physically took the whole thing apart and just tried to reassemble it together in a set manner of principles. But the thing is then, like, that's just looking at one person's point of view, and you'll never have everyone happy with that. So it's kind of quite a delicate structure that you'd need to manage very carefully. Because one false move and it's like a Jenga tower, it's just the whole thing will just collapse on you. You'd get into like just arguments, like just debates that would go on for days. So, like, to put it like in answer sense, there's no major issues that can be immediately fixed within the community. It runs smoothly. It performs the job that it's basically required to do to connect all the units around the globe. And it keeps everyone up to date with actual Milsim activity. And I think there's nothing really more that you could ask of the community chat, or the community in itself.
Alright. Well, next question I have is your unit in any wars or conflicts at the moment?
We're not currently in any wars or conflicts. We are in a bit of a lack of engagements with other units. We're very selective on who we actually like to do engagements with. That's just solely just down to our principles as a unit. You know, we have a kind of set of standards that we think we should uphold as a Milsim unit. If others choose not to uphold what we believe, we're not going to get angry at them. That's perfectly within their decision. But because of that, like I said, we have very little limitation. There's very big limitations on who we actually engage with, and therefore it's greatly reduced the amount of actual arguments or kind of like things of wars that we might actually encounter. So thankfully we avoid any wars or hostility towards the units. The units that we do encounter, we get a nice ship going, any major issue, because no one purposely goes looking for trouble within Milsim, as far as I've been encountered with. So I think we might have just been lucky on that end of things, really, because I've heard stories of units going against over another just for nothing pretty much, but I haven't experienced it firsthand myself since starting my unit, which I'm very grateful for.
You gotta knock on wood on that one.
Well, like I said, as long as we don't show ourselves as a threat or as a nuisance towards other units within the community, treat us with the same level of respect, just to not bother us pretty much.
Now with the limited with your joining the community late last year, from what you've seen, what do you think causes the most trouble or most problems in the Milsim community?
Personally, from what I've seen in the past about 5 or 6 days that we've been in the community, since I never have the full story or the full understanding of what might have caused an argument, the main issue I main seem to be is that it's just never fully discussed or communicated between the people who have an issue. one person will give their side of the story, the other person will give theirs. They're obviously going to clash since they're two separate accounts, and then the issue erupts out of that. Like, it might happen in PMs or DMs where I'm unaware of or in a completely separate chat. But what I've never seen in the community is basically when two people have a disagreement in regards to something, I never hear them sit down and say, right, well, this is all the information that I have regarding that matter. Can I see all the valid information you have regarding the matter from your side? Let's put all that information together, see what bigger picture that creates or what clearer picture that can create for the two of us, and then just come to the best possible resolve for that issue. But I think I haven't been in the community long enough to understand fully just how the ecosystem of the community works, because when a new unit gets added into the community, it does slightly change the balance of things. There's one more unit you now have to take account for, and like I said, the community is just a living organism that's ever changing. So it's just kind of operates like that, really.
Yeah, right. This next question, you could be as honest as you want, or you can skip it if you want to. The question is, who do you think makes the most trouble in the community?
From what I can see, I've only heard stories. I've never had the full-on encounters with people, so I'd say a lot of the opinion I could give on the answer of this, even though it might be honest in my opinion, could be very biased based on what I've heard from the units I've heard it from. And it ranges from so many different people. You have the very well-known examples, say Crow, for a lot of issues in the community. But like I said, I've never physically talked to Crow. I've only heard units that have been on his bad end, so of course they're going to put him in the spotlight and say he's the bad guy. I've never talked to anyone to say, there's been people who said, no, Crow's a sound guy. This is his side of the story. It was never spoken about. So you have to take that into account. So personally, I can't name a single person or unit within the community that is the main issue. I can only just give accounts of what other units have told me in my past experience, and therefore I wouldn't really consider it an honest enough answer. I think we'd need to be in the community a lot longer, and we'd need to have engaged with a lot more units just to see what the actual cause might be, in my own honest opinion.
Alright. Next question I got is, what do you wish to see changed in the Milsim community?
As a person who's quite exact in what they like having done, I would say I have slight OCD. Everything needs to be done down to the exact point for me. Everything needs to be completely accurate. And if I was to just fully have control of the entire community without having to take in regard what other people's opinions might be, it would just be to structure the community a lot better in a way that I might feel is better. But again, when it comes down to it, my idea might be completely useless in regards to the way the community works. I would just like to structure it in a specific manner where you have subsections monitored by a set group of people. I know it's quite good as it is at the moment, honestly. There's not many issues I would have with the way the community is run. The moderators do their job. The community is kept as it is, and it works really well. The only issues or adjustments I could make is just things that are me just being purely nitpicking. So I don't think that's really a valid reason to make any adjustments to it as it is.
We kind of reached the point of a interview where it's we kind of just we're done with the questions. We just sit back and it's BS, whatnot. I said this from the beginning, when we first started doing this. Yes, this is an interview stream for Milsim. However, the way we do it is a little bit different than what people are expecting. We are more lean kind of, I guess you say, podcast, where we'll sit here for a little bit. And of course, we'll ask questions during interviews, and sometimes we get like sidetracked for a little bit. Then we'll come back to the
The
track.
topic at hand, yeah.
But if when Battlefield V comes out, how do you think it's gonna be? Like, it's gonna be how Battlefield 1 was, where it has different sections in the globe, and you pick one and you just do it from like the beginning to the end? Do you think that's how they're gonna do things?
Well, knowing how, like, from what you see from previous Battlefield campaigns and stories, and how they've changed since the likes of Battlefield 1, excuse me, I think what they might have is kind of a system where it'll be similar to the likes of Call of Duty World War II, where you'll follow on separate paths the European side of things, where you'll most likely fill in as the British and the Allied forces engaging the Germans and the Italians and the Axis in Europe. And you'll have a completely separate storyline along the likes of probably an American soldier who's fighting in the Pacific Ocean against the Japanese. You know, it'll be that kind of split difference, but you can pick which one you might want to go through first, or if you want to go through just one solely, where each one will
That
end
actually
in the...
like Pacific Theater.
Yeah, but like I think each one should end in a way where if you have the Europe one, it will end in whatever, whether it's British, Russian, whatever, ending where you're sitting in Berlin in the capital, conquering it, or with the American one that it will most likely end on the day where you just drop on Okinawa, or where when you drop the bombs and Japanese actually full on surrender. You know, I think there'll be two completely separate storylines, or I'd hope they would be like that. Would be a nice kind of style, but they just cover both the same time frame between the two of them, because it would nearly be like two campaigns in one. Because usually you'll get soul games. Oh, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back.
That's grand. But yeah, so like I was saying, I think it would be nice to kind of have an aspect where they split the campaign completely between what went on in the Pacific, what went on in Europe, and it would be like having two separate campaigns in the one game, and it would just immerse the player a lot more in it. But I can't say that everyone would feel that way about it as well. Some people might just want to see one side of it, you know, they might just want to see what happened on the Pacific, what happened in Europe, you know, or some people might even be kind of wanting to say like, well, what can you play as the Axis forces, you know, can you see it from their point of view? There might be people with that kind of opinion, so...
Yeah.
It's a very open topic.
Yeah, I can see it's like doing like both theaters, like instead of like doing like selecting certain parts or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I got a message. It's like I see oh my god. I'm just not hearing back from our next guest. Hey. I can see it'd be like saying you start Pacific Theater, or not Pacific, but European Theater. It would be like you say you start in like Poland, where the Germans start doing their whole blitzkrieg. Like you're playing as a Polish soldier or tanker or airman, whatnot, and you're doing your best. And of course, you're not going to win against the Germans and the Soviets. So you end up fighting character dies, and it goes off to like a French or British soldier, and Like you go into the part where you're at the part where France and Britain declare war on Germany, and like next thing you know, you're on the what's it called, Maginot Line,
Yeah, the
and
marginal line.
yeah, and you're just like you're defending it. You're using what you got on it to attempt to repel the Germans. Then of course it goes to whether your character's retreating or gets killed. You go out to a British soldier in Dunkirk or whatnot, or going to Dunkirk, then get evacuated, and it just goes off from there to where we do D-Day, go to Paris, then head over the Rhine down Berlin and point
Yeah, see, I
point
definitely
M
think
is
that would be a very interesting viewpoint to see on the style like of the campaign of the game,
because you're not
because
just
you're not
just
it
seeing
would cover the
one.
whole 6 years. Yeah, because most World War One games they'll literally have it within 1 year of the whole war, and you're like, well, I've missed out on a whole 5 years worth of war. Like, what's going on here? And I think just having one that started from very start to very finish would just be so enjoyable. Like, because you'd have hours upon hours, and you'd learn so much from it as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, yeah, you could do like, let's say like you could do like play as, like when you're doing that, like you start in Poland, you're playing as the Allies, or you can go and play as Axis, and you could be that German tanker just hauling ass across the fields, invading Poland.
Exactly.
And I know that's a long stretch, but if they go down that route, then I can see
They'd get
that
I think they'd get a
it'll
very good
pay
response
off.
from that. Yeah, like the response
It'll
from that
pay
would just
off,
be
and Call
worth
of
the
Duty,
kind
like
of it.
it'll totally swamp Call of Duty World War II.
I'm like, honestly, from what I've seen from the people I've talked to about like the excitement for a World War II battlefield, it's already swamping Call of Duty just from like what I've heard from other people saying, "Oh, I can't wait for the next
Just so,
battlefield."
just from them saying that, hey, it's gonna be Battlefield V in World War II. It's just gonna be
Exactly, yeah.
nuts.
Because like I've played World War II. It's for me, it was just horrendous. The campaign was all right, like you learn a lot in the campaign, but multiplayer wise, I was just like, I'm not bothered for it. It's just no fun at all to sit around on it. There's
I
no actual. They're
yeah, I
they're
played
not they're
campaign
not the
and
style of like fighting you would have in World War II at all. In Call of Duty, that's the thing. You would not be that
yeah, you don't
close.
see
You would not be
German
that
soldiers
fast
doing
paced.
360 no scopes.
Exactly. Yeah, but I'm sure like with Battlefield, they'd still have the occasional trench warfare games. I'm pretty sure. Because the one thing I was quite disappointed in is the fact that in a lot of Battlefield 1 maps, I didn't actually see a pure kind of trench warfare. Like, I know there's one or two maps, but I mean just like a solid flat surface, trenches dug, and the outline of the map basically meant you couldn't try and flank around. And I would have loved a pure trench warfare game where it's just like 3 or 4 lines each side of trenches, a whole open stretch of no man's land, and you
Well, I
just
think
like
they
have to
got
try and fight over that.
Battlefield didn't do this, but it's a game called Verdun. A lot of people talked about it. Apparently Verdun was done like that.
You see, like
But
that's
of course
like
you
that's
got
what I know from World War One. That's what the battlefields are like. Like I've seen a lot of the battlefields in World War One, and yeah, they'd be similar enough, but they're not like what you would have physically seen the photos to look them like.
yeah.
And that's just the kind of thing I'd like to see. So I'd like it to be a bit more. It could be like I could just be missing the details now, but I think if it was historically accurate as possible. Because World War II was one of the most gruesome events in history as well. You had millions dying, and just like if they could just kind of capture the atrocities that went on and just show you just how bad it was, then we'd just make the game more engrossing and just more in depth for the player as well.
Yeah,
So
like
they give them a bit of a
play as
chance to reflect
Allied
on
soldier
it.
that gets captured and
Exactly.
ends up
Yeah.
getting sent into a camp and later on executed or liberated by either the Russians or the Americans.
Exactly. Like it would just add a whole kind of new dimension to the game that the player mightn't have experienced before.
So hey kid, you want to learn about World War II? Yeah. Here, play Battlefield V. and he'll just like give you a full-on smack uh, World War II history lesson. And what I'm hoping is that with DICE doing what they did in Battlefield 1 with the how was it, Turning Tides, where you can actually pilot, or not pilot, but what's the word? Just control like a destroyer or battleship that's not a behemoth, and just like maneuver the ships to engage enemy ships or do bombardments.
Yeah, like that sounds
They carry
enjoyable.
that.
Yeah.
They carry that over to Battlefield V, and it happens to be either in a European and Pacific theater kind of layout. I can see a lot of people from the BF4 community, including BF1, just going over to those, and just like next thing you know, BF4 and BF1 Milsim is just about dead on its deathbed. BF4 is already on its deathbed. We all know that. BF1 is still young. It's like as soon as V drops, it's gonna be
Impossible to get people on, yeah.
Yeah.
Like BF4 was so dead at one point they were giving away the DLCs for free with premium just because they saw no one's playing it. Like,
Yeah, that brought back some people. Of course, it's not gonna last forever when you got
No.
Battlefield 1 out.
like even the fact, I'm not sure if you like with the recent update they did to Battlefield 4 where they've updated the kind of homepage of Battlefield, so when you go to multiplayer there's nice newer up-to-date pictures when you're going to your quick match or squad join, but like it's too late for that, you know. Like the people that came in when the DLCs became free, they've gone again because the DLCs have gone back up in price and it's gone back to being the same game it was, and a change like that isn't going to attract anyone back in. So I don't see why they even bothered to kind of put that much effort into it. Like, you know, if they're going to be trying to put any kind of effort into Battlefield 4 again, they need to do a full-on release a new DLC or release new weapons or something actually exciting that would get people back in, not just change a few photos around on the freaking background. Otherwise, they're just wasting their time when they could be putting more effort into, like I said, Battlefield 5 or whatever else they have in plan for us in the future.
Well, we reached our end at our time. Again, we thank you for taking your time out of your day to, or evening actually.
That's actually morning.
To join us on the stream.
Now, but thank you for having me anyways. Definitely a pleasure talking to you.
It's always a pleasure to have you on board. And like everyone, you're always welcome back on board.
It's much appreciated.
We gotta get our next guest in here. Do you want to go ahead and follow out?
That's fine.
Yeah. What the hell? Scope on carry handle. Alright, gentlemen, ladies and gents, our next guest is going to be Mr. Big Stack from the 1st Canadians. I believe this is our first time talking to them on the stream. But if you want, we could take a quick intermission. Get your drinks, get your smokes or whatnot. Don't smoke. But let's get our next guest in here anyway. Alright. What's that, man? Just make sure your audio's included. Party in here.
Yep.
Alright, make sure your audio's included.
Mine should be included.
Yeah, go ahead and include it.
You just make sure your fans aren't like blowing ridiculously into the mic. Alrighty.
Alright. Gentlemen, go ahead and introduce yourself with name, rank, and unit.
Alright, I am Who Are You, I Am Me. I am the platoon sergeant of the 1st Canadian Division, 1IC. And here
Alright,
is...
yeah. I am Big Sack. I'm the staff sergeant of the unit, also the XO.
Tell us about First Canadians.
Well, the 1st Canadians is... We're pretty good pulling Milsim, I will say that. We've been pulling left and right, breaking records, and that's the only thing I can say right now. What about you, Big Sack?
Yeah, this is my first time, basically being in a unit with Who Are You, I Am Me. We've been old friends for quite some time, so, he contacted me asking me if I wanted to join and help out, and here we are today. So, yeah. This isn't like his first time, basically being the CEO of First Canadian, but this is the most successful time that, he's led.
Yeah, this is the most successful time. That's like, yeah, that's definitely agreeable with that. Alright, keep professional. Keep professional. Nothing.
But it's just, I mean, we could keep it professional, but we're here to have fun, really joking and all that. That's me.
Yeah.
I read a let's say rather interesting comment today on one of our YouTube videos when we talked to GDC, the PMC group, F4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, apparently someone doesn't like when I drink on stream. And actually, gentlemen, if you give me a minute, I'll be right back.
It's gonna go get some fucking drinks, I guess. Did he just pause? Like he just put us on pause to go get some
He put us
fucking
on pause.
drinks.
Yes. Sadly, my audio is still included, so we're gonna hear this. All the units gonna hear this.
You can't go cut it from the YouTube video.
Hold on. I got so funny. This is MNN, the new host. I am Who Are You, I Am Me. I am the host of the new Milsim News Network. I'm going to report Big Sack today.
There,
He's back. He's back.
I have risen, my child. So, yeah, like I said before I left, we read a comment from someone on YouTube who I guess just made that account because there's no videos, no subscribers, nothing. And he had a banner up and a profile picture, that's about it. Now, if this person's listening to or watching this stream on either Twitch or later it's gonna be when it's on YouTube, I know you don't like me drinking. I mean, I doubt you gentlemen have a problem with me drinking.
No, not at all.
I mean, I can ask all the previous guests if they have a problem with me drinking. But we're all here to have fun.
Yes, we are.
Jesus Christ.
I do have a lot of nasty things to say to this dude, but I'm gonna keep it clean. I'm drinking me some Coke and rum and Coke today.
Okay.
So, what do you guys think about the BF1 community?
Can I start?
I'll
this?
let Big Sec go first in this.
Yeah. You know, now it's going good. I like where it's at right now, but it hit quite a lot of, you know, bumps in the road.
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we've had quite a lot of things. Like back in the beginning, we had like a huge community split, and there was like two communities. One had like 50 members, and one had like 30. And basically, like it split for a while, and there was a lot of wars going on. But now where we're at now, there's a lot of peace in the community for the most part. Most of the units are getting a lot bigger, and you know, it's growing a lot.
I was kind of disappointed when the Soviets, that
For SRA. For SRA. Yeah.
Yeah, for sorry,
they changed to a German unit, correct?
French.
French.
French. I mean, nothing wrong with the Soviets, although they did leave before the end of the First World War,
Yeah, they did.
which kind of blowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the
Monarchies
community.
do not last, except for Britain's for some reason,
Yeah.
which is odd. I mean, Britain used to be the definition of a superpower, but then America fought an 8-year war and kind of say, hey, these guys could be beaten. Oh, fuck.
And they kept on losing land ever since. Just kept on losing.
They still got the
losing land.
Falkland Islands. I'm kind of surprised about that. I thought Argentina would have taken that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, most of the Russian units that have came through in the community honestly haven't gotten very big or died off. So I was kind of surprised with
I mean,
how good
Russia
they
is a
did.
playable faction. I mean, granted, not much Russian weapons out there, but still, it's pretty neat. But anyway, with the confirmation that Battlefield V is going to be World War II, with the 7 factions, Britain, France, Germany, USSR, Italy, I believe, America, and Japan. Is the first Canadians, like, do you already have a plan in set on when Battlefield V comes out?
Yes. Actually,
You wanna share with us?
so the first Canadian, basically we have it set up to where our armor detachment, they fought in a lot of the same battles in World War II, so that's set up.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Canada was still under
They were still
They're still
under
under the-
England. Yeah.
Great Britain. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still under
Yep.
Great Britain's control until their independence in I think like the 60s.
Yeah, it was like the 70s or 60s or 80s or something like that. Who the hell cares? I'm Canadian, I said that, so yeah, I have a right to say it.
We actually, I
But
do recall. We're gonna get a little sidetracked here, but I do recall during the American Revolution, like, I'm not sure who it was, but a group of people were trying to get Canadians to like join in and fight Britain. That way they can gain their independence.
Yeah, because England owned land there, and they would try to get them to fight the British, like pretty much turn over from the British side. Yeah, that's true.
But they didn't, and
Nope.
some stuff happened, and what was it, Montreal or Quebec? It's one of those two places where we were holding a siege and didn't really get too far to the point where we're like, yeah, fuck this noise, we're out of here. I know. We fought Canadians twice. American Revolution and War of 1812,
Yep, the War of 1812. Yep.
where, although I claimed that as an American victory, people do say it was a draw, and I'll respect that, I guess. America.
Canada. Canada, eh? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, eh? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sing like the Canadian version of Team America, fuck yeah, but like instead of saying Team America, just say Team Canada.
Team Canada, fuck yeah, eh?
Coming again and say sorry, thank you for coming.
We're gonna
Whiskey,
pour
are
some
you,
maple
are you
syrup
reading
on
the
it.
chat? The Twitch chat?
Oh no, God no. God no, I don't want to see it.
I know Bill's in. Oh wait, no.
Hold on.
I just looked at it.
I gotta go to
I just looked at it.
I gotta go to Twitch. I gotta go to Twitch. Like, what is happening?
Mr. People are talking so much shit.
Those are our guys. They're all our guys, so...
Oh my god, this is funny, man. I gotta get kudos to those guys, man. That's what I like to see. I like to see just people in the chat having fun, really. I mean, that's another thing. I like fucking whiskey mom gay.
We can bring our 3 IC in here if you want us to.
Hey, it's up to you guys, man.
Do you want
I'm
to?
completely fine with it.
Or do you want to bring in Mars?
I'd rather. I don't know.
Mr. Black, he's kind of like the... I don't know. How to describe
I
it.
don't know if
Let's
he's
bring in
something about
Mars.
Bill.
Let's bring in Mars. I want to see what Mars has to say. If he wants to
Get
come in.
fucked, Mr. Black.
Wasn't Bill like in the center of some like deep shit on in the BF1 community chat?
Okay, so Bill was like, he started his own unit. Well, okay, he was in a unit called the 31st, and basically the 31st disbanded. He took the name of the 31st and got shit from Jew Kaiser, and then basically that's what started it. He's really not in our unit. It's just like, hang on, I kept seeing the chats. Yeah, we keep, you know, he's gotten a lot better. We kind of turned him around in our unit.
Pip Chap Cheerio. What the fuck?
It's
I don't know
probably
who
that
that
guy.
guy is.
Fuck
Either
all
way.
that shit.
Wait, he's saying that I'm awesome? That's a good idea. That's saying I'm awesome, man. I'm awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Pig Catcher.
Don't speak too soon.
And
Don't
Mr.
speak-
Black just came in. It's like, shut up. No, he isn't. Whiskey is hella gay.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get back on track. Shit. It's starting to smell like an ass. Fuck, where was I? Okay. Any problems in the Milsim community that that could be fixed?
It could be fixed in the community.
Yeah, do you see any problems that in the Milsim community that could be fixed?
The raid
I got one.
terms. I want to be fixed. I want the activity checks. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I messaged some units like 2 weeks ago asking if they're alive, and 3 of them I still haven't gotten responses from. So stuff like that,
Alright.
keeping people active, should be fixed.
And of course, it's understandable. Someone's some real life stuff happens, and it just draws them away. Or they could just get bored with it. I mean, World War One was really slow, kinda. But hopefully with World War Two, it's gonna be more fast paced and kick ass.
Oh, definitely.
You know, I should have placed it. I'll be honest. I should have started placing bets before it was confirmed to be World War II in the community chat, because I would have banked.
You know, a
I
lot
would
of
have started
people
putting like
were like,
$100.
a lot of people were like,
People were getting
thinking,
excited.
like,
But you guys were watching. You guys watched a few streams in the past, correct? When we were
Yeah.
talking about this kind of stuff. So I even like I said in the previous guest, I called that shit. It was gonna be a slap to the face with against Activision, where DICE was gonna do World War II. Battlefield V was gonna be World War II. Now I'm gonna go around and start placing bets. Like, hey, what theater do you think is gonna be, Pacific or European? Place your bets now.
yeah,
Like,
see,
gambling's not illegal.
my logic is like, okay, so if it's EA who kind of just like basically puts out the game, you know how they are with DLC. You know, if they put out like a game that takes place in like Vietnam, there's not very much DLC potential. But like if you think about the amount of stuff that they can sell like off of World War II, it's ridiculous. Because you know, there honestly so many fronts and stuff like that they can just put out DLC for. So
What the hold on. What the fuck?
Ignore that.
Whiskey,
Yeah, ignore that.
Whiskey, can I go out with Matilda's principal?
It's inside jokes. It's just forget it. Yes.
Can I
Can
get
I
an
tell
invite?
him?
No, Bill. No, Bill, you can't get an invite.
Welcome
like,
to the first Canadian division. This is basically what it is.
Oh, it's about time to teach these kids the way of Dinkus. They will learn Dink memes. Fuck. But I told them, I was talking to the RER guest, and like the idea I dropped for him, like for Battlefield V, was it could do 2 theaters, like the start to the end. Like the European theater, when it comes to World War II in Europe, it could start in like you play as a Polish soldier or tanker or airman, and you start with like you're defending your country against the German blitzkrieg. In all unfair, like they do fail because they're facing against the USSR and Germany on both sides. So like your character ends up getting killed, and you go off to like maybe a French or a British soldier, and you guys, and like same thing, like you're fighting the enemy, and it goes up to where the Allies get driven from European continent, and it goes back to like D-Day all the way up to Berlin. Or you can play as the Axis and do all sorts of neat shit. Like it will give a huge different perspective on, like, not really different perspective, but like more in depth with World War II than any game's probably done. And that's like using a lot of resources from DICE.
yeah, I mean, I just don't want to see a lot of German units, to be honest with you.
Ah, fuck, I can already see that happening. I mean,
Yeah.
there's gonna be American units, a lot of ally units. We can't have too much to put it out there, because if everyone's just an ally unit, then an ally unit raids another ally unit, it's just gonna be one big,
It's gonna be like
pardon my
Battlefield 4.
French, but shit show.
It's gonna be like
Yeah,
Everyone
but
wants to be
if-
American.
Yeah, but like I have a feeling that teams like the 123rd is gonna move over to German, and like 101A and 5MR will probably, you know, want to partake in this community this time, and they'll be American. And then you got other teams, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean they're gonna keep the same names of, but like 5th Marines. Well, they could fight German. Like there were Marines in Europe during World War II. Not too many.
yes,
though.
there was.
Yeah, there was. There's a story of like 4 Marines killed so many German soldiers that the Germans literally thought that they were fighting a whole battalion. You know, it was just 4 Marines. Like when it came to
Yeah.
the Marines surrendering, the officer that they were surrendering to is like, bullshit, where's the rest of you? And it's like, this is it, man. And they just they looked at each other stunned, like, we nearly lost to 4 men. And damn, we really do suck.
There's 2 stories of World War II that I really like. One is about this guy who uses a not crossbow, but a bow and a fucking broadsword.
Yeah,
that guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard it was a British guy, Winston Churchill's relative, I think.
Yep. He ended up. I think he captured the. He ended up capturing a tank and like a battalion or something like that. It was like something close to that size, but it wasn't a battalion.
There's a story someone used. There's a story like on D-Day, some guy, I guess he was like British, he stormed the beach just playing the bagpipes.
Yeah.
And at the end of the battle,
that is very
like
common.
they questioned the sniper.
That's very
They
common
questioned
in
the
World
German
War I.
snipers, like, why didn't you guys kill him? It's like, we all looked at him, it's like, we thought he lost his mind, so we just felt kind of sorry. It's like, we told each other to kill him, and we just let him play his bagpipes. It's like, that's the odd shit that you hear from World War II, especially the picture of one guy storming a beach with nothing but a sword.
Yep. There you go.
Like, straight on fucking long sword.
Another story that I like is the Devil's Brigade story. I'm a big fan of the Devil's Brigade, the first special forces between Canada and the United States. And they end up, it was on a hill, and they end up picking up German weapons and firing upon the Germans, and the Germans were stopped shooting because the Germans thought they were being friendly fire. It's actually really awesome. There's a documentary based on them. I would suggest doing that for a watch one day.
What was it? There's a documentary out there too. There's Japanese Americans were fighting in Europe against the Germans, and they were bum rushing some hill. And I may be butchering this, or I may be a little bit off on this because I have been drinking since then. But apparently, like, it confused the hell out of the Germans because they thought like they were seeing the Japanese people come out there. It's like, aren't we allies with them? And you just see like soldiers just like yelling "Banzai" and shit and bum rushing the Germans.
So this
But
thing
one
the
story I
Japanese
like.
are attacking them.
One story I like, and I always listen to is it's an audiobook I listen to about actual event in World War II in the Pacific. It's called The Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors. It's about a group called Taffy 3, like escort destroyers, a couple of actual DDs destroyers, and escort carriers, jeep carriers, what you want to call them. They turned, like, they were caught in the middle, like, you had the super battleship Yamato, a few other battleships, cruisers, destroyers coming down a strait, Surigao Strait, and Taffy 3 was like the only ones around. So you have all these little destroyer escorts making smoke to cover the carriers. These carriers are launching all their aircraft, and mind you, these are escort carriers, so they don't have too much to fight anti-personnel fragmentation bombs. They do have a couple 500 pounders. Also maybe a couple torpedoes. So they're launching everything. I'm talking about they're throwing everything at these ships. They destroy, I forgot the tally of how many ships the Japanese lost. The Americans lost a couple destroyers and a carrier, escort carriers, just really thin hull. But the attack was so effective that the Japanese thought that they were actually fighting Bull Halsey's Third Fleet, the carriers and fast battleships and all that. So you have the super battleship Yamato and all the other surviving ships turning and hightailing out of there, when all they're just fighting a bunch of thin-hulled ships that they could have easily won against.
That's interesting.
A great audiobook. I would recommend anyone having time on their day, look it up, listen to it, and enjoy it. It's a real good book. Uh, yeah, I'm looking at it. It's like, yeah, it's supposed to be news, but like I said in previous guests, we do tend to get sidetracked. But let's continue, shall we?
All right.
Next question. What do you think causes the most problems in the Milsim community?
Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4?
Battlefield 1. You're 1.
Well, yeah.
Milsim.
Battlefield 1, I feel the biggest problem with the community is it's too small. Like, if one problem goes on, the whole community will just fight each other. It's not that hard to make that happen, and it needs to get bigger. I don't see that happening
Down,
with
drag out
Battlefield 5.
fight.
Uh,
Because I mean, Battlefield 4 is on its deathbed, and a lot of units in the Battlefield 1 Milsim community have stated, or the way they responded to like Battlefield V coming out as World War II, like seemed excited to where they're already planning on moving over to Battlefield V when it drops.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, what I think causes the most drama is also it's kind of a dick showing competition. It used to be mainly like a dick showing competition, you know? Like everyone wants to, okay, on Battlefield 1, it's quantity over quality until you get to, you know, where you can pull a 32. Once you can pull a 32, then if you can, you know, raid someone or go to war with someone who can pull a 32, that's when quality, like, you know, comes into place. But with these small units, they want quantity over quality. Like quality mainly because if you notice, like compared to Battlefield 4, like most teams on here have way too many allies to begin with. And
Yeah,
just like
I'm not too sure about why that's
stuff like that, like I don't know, like when you have like one unit that gets pissed off with another unit, they probably have like 5 allies, and it just starts a bunch of like drama over, you know, something so small.
We've seen that in the past with 123rd's old CEO, good buddy Jukaiser, who's
Yeah.
now just known as the Alaskan. But next question we have is the first Canadians in any wars or conflicts at the moment?
No, not right now.
Alright. Next question is, you could be as honest as possible with this one, or you just do whatever. You're free to speak your mind. Question: who do you think makes the most trouble in the Milsim community?
I would like to be honest in that. Yeah. Actually, who makes the most trouble?
Miller,
To be honest,
Flash.
Miller says a lot, but I don't think he causes the most trouble. I mean, I think, to be honest, I think what causes the most trouble is like, it's too hard to say, but I'll have to go with Miller.
He's Flash, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Flash.
XO or
Keep hearing
3IC.
Miller.
It's kind of weird because like they have a guy named Lucas the Tanker who, from what I remember, is the XO, but he doesn't really he's not in the chat, so I don't know if he's XO or 3IC now. So I usually just Miller is XO, to be honest with you.
Man, I was kind of like a little taken back when Flash started going off about discharge papers, and I'm thinking, it's like, really pick a topic to argue about them, or what? I mean, I never once heard someone make an argument or raise hell about discharge papers. Just
Yeah,
never heard of that.
I don't know, like some of these people don't understand how people come off in text, so they don't interpret what they're saying right, so stuff like that happens. Like sometimes he thinks I tell people what they're he thinks I try to like make people look bad by like, talking at them. But in reality, I'm just like curious as to what's going on with units. Like if you have your like last week, or I don't remember actually when it was, but like last week, there's a 3IC like posting discharge papers and like allying, was like, what's going on? Like, why are you making these decisions? And like he just jumped completely into like the entire thing. So
I think that's the one where he was talking about the discharge papers that.
two occurrences. One with himself and one
Hmm.
with another unit.
Yeah. Because he posted like a paragraph long, well not paragraph, but kind of big message, and he started posting like a discharge. It's like, now that's a discharge. Like, I mean, let people do discharges how they want. I mean, shit's not gonna be perfect. I mean, I look at that. That's not really perfect. It's neat, but
Well, including discharge, that little section should be just honorable discharges only. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just a discharge. I'm getting tired of looking at that.
alright, next question is, what do you wish to see changed in the Milsim community?
More want,
I get this.
more want of growth, like way more. Like not just like focus on your own self, but focus on other units.
Like, to be honest with you, I mean, like, I'm not gonna say like I haven't done this before, because everyone's done it at some point for the most part, but I don't like seeing people bring personal life into Milsim. Just something that shouldn't happen.
What, bring personal stuff into Milsim?
Yeah, this happens a lot in the Battlefield 4 community. You see people's addresses getting posted. Like, I was talking with Crow the other day, saying like, he either said he or someone else was getting death threats over just like stupid stuff, like people like tracking his IP and getting his address.
I hear that, and then I'm waiting for someone to show me. It's like, I mean, where's the pictures, man?
You can actually
Someone's
like
getting
I know like people who have pictures of like his house and shit like that. Kind of messed up, but I mean,
yeah, as far as I know, it's someone outside the community doing that. Like, apparently they hate him to where they actually like somehow they found him on Xbox and they're just like fucking with him and whatnot. But
yeah, but like a lot of the people too, like people that go to Arma or that like completely quit out on Milsim just like linger, and you see this on like Twitter all the time, don't you?
yeah,
So stuff like that.
hey,
Especially considering that most of these people, like, we're probably going to be going with for the next Battlefield, because that one's obviously going to be way bigger, like, because Battlefield 4 is going to die out, this game's going to die out, and, everyone's going to want to go to that game, so I don't want to be going with these kind of people that just, like, bring, like, personal shit into Milsim. Like, a lot of these people, like, whether, like, you want to simulate or just, basically like get away from life or whatever you do Milsim for, like they don't want to go on here to like have their life brought back into stuff. So I mean, stuff like that's what I want to change, if that makes sense.
I mean, as far as I know, like it was like I talked to Crow about this and he told me his side. Apparently, one of his old members was a former National Guardsman. He's watching. If Crow's watching, he'll know who I'm talking about. Apparently, not the former National Guardsman got like pissed off some people, and to the point where like he was mad at some dude that was still in the army, and he was thinking about how like he could get him back. Or like probably see how he could get this person issued an Article 15, which those who don't know, it's like the equivalent of NJP. From what Crow told me, him and Whiskey got intoxicated and were egging this dude on. I mean,
Yeah.
I get intoxicated too, but I don't try to fuck with somebody. I just do my own thing. And it ended up to where Whiskey, the now former XO of 5MR, he sent the message to the army guy saying, "Enjoy your Article 15," and right there, like, it made it clear to that person who I actually seen the picture, this whole screenshot, the chat. It made it clear to him that they were going after his, like, trying to mess with his career.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's something, stuff like this. What's the word I'm looking for? It's stuff to talk about at a different time, preferably off camera. But if you guys want to hang out, talk a little bit more after the stream.
Sounds good. I'm not doing anything.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Everyone watching, thank you for tuning in to the stream. We will post a link to it on our YouTube channel when it's up. For those who joined us, RAR and First Canadians, we thank you for taking your time out of your days to join with us and talk about your units and stuff around the community. And of course, we get sidetracked, but you know, every stream is a BYOB, and you can always expect fun times from that. The gentleman who made the little comment on YouTube. That's right, I'm talking to you, buddy. like I said before, I could go to any of our past guests and ask them the same question: do they have a problem with me drinking on stream? I could bet you $20 that I could get an overwhelming no, we don't have a problem.
Hey, as long as you're not breaking the law, that's the only thing I care about. And you're
As
not.
long as I'm not stripping naked and barking at the moon, I'm fine.
Exactly. Exactly.
Next thing you know, I'm making national news like crazy vet strips naked and it runs down city streets. That's gonna be interesting, fun memes.
Whiskey here was like, he thought you said Friday, and he was gonna get like extremely drunk on Friday, so he was getting scared of that.
I said Saturday.
So, but yeah, thank you for having us.
Whiskey breaks the law about being hella gay.
That's the motion for you,
people...
Mr. Black. That's the motion for you.
Fucking, I was gonna say someone's doing up downs or some shit. But again, gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and joining us. To us out there on Twitch and on YouTube, thank you for taking your time with us and thank you for joining. We'll see you next time.